Welcome back to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the radio guy, Dr. Mike. Friends, we have a very special guest on the line with us on today, and we are proud to introduce to some and present to others the athletic director for Prairie View A&M University, none other than Mr. ANTON GOFF. How you doing, sir, and welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm good, Dr. Prince. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Well, look, it's taken a while, but it's a patience, is of a virtue, and I'm just mighty glad to have you on board with us today, sir.
It's all good. I've been running around this whole state. I've spent actually more time in Dallas than I have in Houston. So,
well, as they say, welcome to Texas, right?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Well, look, with this, as they say, the honeymoon phase, but it's been long enough to establish what is and what's not, and I know you can't do a magic wand and wipe out everything to where it needs to be, but from the time that you've been in place, what do you see as a great advantage, and then what do you see as a great challenge ahead of you since you've been in place?
Yeah, so I've been in place for just a little over a month, and I have to tell you, man, the time I've spent here has been incredible. I was actually, like I said, I've been in Dallas a lot. Well, we played SMU, played Grambling up at the State Fair Classic, and that's a great event. But, I've been embraced by what I call Panther Nation, Mike. I've been overwhelmed by the support, by the well wishes, by the prayers from the Panther Nation. So that's been a great experience, but I think one of the advantages we have is not just the passion of our alums, our fans, but we've got really nice facilities, and that's a base where not a lot of people are starting from, and so that's something that I'm excited about, to keep expanding on that, within the SWAC, but within FSC Division I. FCS, in Division I, I think our facilities match up with the best of them. Now, I would say a challenge would be I need to replicate our home game experience like what I hear homecoming is. Now, tomorrow is going to be my first official home game that I'm able to go to, but all I've been hearing about is how great homecoming is and how we need to make that a standard, not an exception. And so I'm going to be looking at our game day experience and trying to figure out what we can do to make this a really, truly game experience, a great game experience for all of our fans, for our student athletes, where we have a true home field, home court advantage.
I know that we're in the A&M system, and A&M just did a big to-do on how their athletics is going to be partnering up with some of the mission statements and goals for the entire university. Is there any way that can be duplicated at our level, and if so, what would it take to make that happen?
Yeah, so I think, it goes top down, you know what I'm saying? The A&M system has a vision, strategic plan, and each campus kind of follows what that is, and Prairie View A&M University is no exception. We're gonna follow some of those principles, but we're also gonna do what's best for us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's different funding at Texas A&M than there is Prairie View A&M, right? And so some of the things they're able to do, we're not able to do, but some of the things they do don't fit us regardless. So, and some of the things we do, they can't even do. So, what we got to do is make sure that, first and foremost, we're lockstep with the system, making sure that all of the campuses are aligned, right? And then also partnering with campuses, to make sure that, it's not just Prairie View A&M, it's not just Texas A&M. We've got other system schools, and we need to cooperate and work together to make the system as strong as it can be so we can all benefit.
Okay. And when you say cooperate, can you dig a little deeper in that and explain on what?
So everything from sharing research or sharing technology. We all use some of the same technology. Competing against each other, right? It obviously making sure that we're partnering in what we're doing. Communicating. Like if say Texas A&M Commerce has a charter and they do something, make sure we're sharing that so that it's easier for us to do a charter, right? Contracts, we're using the same vendors, those type of things. A lot of communication. It makes it a lot easier to do business when we know, hey, this school used this vendor and they did everything they need to do, and it is approved through the system. So let's look at that vendor. Can they give us a great service as well? And if so, then it's easier to use them, and now we can get things done in a more efficient and timely manner.
Okay. Now, of course, your role is that of the athletic director, and we're going to say the CEO of the athletic department. If that's safe to assume. Yep. I know you don't have full autonomy. I got that corrected at the press conference, but you are that guy that's going to help navigate this ship and where it should be heading.
Yep.
Okay. Now, when we look at that, what is your viewpoint on scheduling as far as money games, competitive games? Sometimes we face what is called a moving target. They'll attack us because they say our strength of schedule is not good, but then we have somewhat of a responsibility to be our brother's keeper for other HBCUs that are not on our level, but we have to kind of look out for each other, or do you see that as something we're going to have to kind of trim down?
No, I think each season you look at your team, you look at the goals competitively as well as financially, and you make decisions from that manner. Listen, if we win who we play against, then everybody's going to be happy. That's one thing I know. It doesn't matter if we do 10 money games or we do 0 money games. If we're winning, people are going to be happy. But there's a financial aspect to this that we absolutely have to pay attention to. So as far as our football team, we've got to try to look at playing a money game every once in a while. Our basketball team start out the beginning of the year trying to play some money game, but it also not only is this a money game. If you play at the highest level, it prepares you for when you get into SWAC tournament play.
Yes, sir. Well, my viewpoint is all games have the potential to be money games if our fan base is showing up.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that I'm not going to hide behind a bush or anything. That has been my greatest concern because we have such great facilities, as you mentioned, but even before the facilities came, the people would come. But it seems like since facilities have come, the people are reserved. I don't know if we wait that to this era that we're in, with everything is being streamed and everything is being televised. And so the people, if they get a cloud that looks potential like rain, they say, well, I'll just stay here instead of go out. Do you see that as a challenge on what we're going to have to do to address attendance?
Absolutely. Now, if you look not just at Prairie View A&M, I've been at a bunch of universities. If you look across the landscape of football attendance, everybody's down. Part of that is you've got a younger generation that have a shorter time attention span, and for some of them, coming to a game and spending 4 or 5 hours isn't what they want to do, right? They would rather have it on their phone. They would rather go hang out, do some other things. And so that's something we got to compete against. And so that's why I mentioned at the beginning of trying to create a game experience where you want to come to the game because you don't want to miss out on things. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about the game. It's the entire experience, from the experience of buying a ticket to the experience of parking to the experience of your concessions to the experience of the in-game experience, as well as when you exit until you get off of campus. So, looking at all those aspects and trying to make it something that's attractive to everybody. Okay.
And I know that's a goal that you're working on. Do you have a rough outline on how we achieve that?
Like I said, tomorrow is my first home game.
Okay.
So I've got to be able to walk around and see what we're doing and what we're not doing to be able to start doing some assessment.
Okay. I know a lot of people sometimes will say it's based on the opponent that you're playing, and I'm going to agree to disagree with that. Because if we're fans, and we're supporting whomever that is in front of us. And I just think that when we look at this overall big picture, and I know number-wise, do we necessarily have the numbers to have games being streamed and on television and expect people to come out to the games?
Yeah, well, I think regardless of that, you have to make your product accessible in various different platforms, right? So that's something, when you're streaming, you've got to be able to capture that audience because they're still fans. And you've got to make it attractive for people to actually come to the game. And so, to me, we've got to assess all that and try to put some plans in place so we can address all those different challenges.
Okay, we're talking right now with Mr. Anton Goff, Athletic Director for the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. Not quite 60 days, but working on that 60 days in the office. And you kind of went over some things that you have been embraced, and PV Nation has been spread and sharing the love all across. And you're looking at that attendance as one of the deals to address. Is there anything else that you have been able to spot, like right off the front, with what is great and what is a potential challenge?
Yeah, obviously you never have enough money. Even if we had $100 million budget, I would need $120 million, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I want to be able to create a fundraising arm for athletics that is vibrant and robust, and also develop a corporate sponsor arm of that as well, so I can hit both populations. You know what I'm saying? Those individuals that want to give and corporations that want to partner. So that's one of the things I'm trying to put together right now. I'm assessing and then looking at various naming rights. You know what I'm saying? Whether I partner with a company or whether I go out and just do it on my own or internal. We're still called Panther Stadium. The stadium was built in 2016. We want to look and see maybe there's an opportunity to have naming rights for the stadium, as well as other venues and in offices and other facilities. So that's something we're looking at as well. I think there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of just partnering with Greater Houston area, Waller County, Prairie View, you know what I'm saying, and all the surrounding areas within a 100-mile radius.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, it's definitely out there. I can guarantee you that. And they say they're not going to necessarily just lay it out there, but you got to sniff it out, then talk it out, right?
No doubt.
Okay. Now, when you look around this campus, of course, it's a beautiful campus, extraordinary. Maybe I'm biased because I'm an alum, but does the setting set you in that mood like, man, I'm in the right place?
Absolutely. One of the things I got asked by another person who was interviewing, they said, hey, man, you've been, at an HBCU before, you've been at a lot of PWI, why Prairie View, why now? And I told him, I said, listen, man, when I was young and my grandma was still alive, every time I brought one of my friends to the house, she didn't treat him like a guest. When I brought them in the house, she was like, he or she's family. I said, when I showed up, I felt like I was treated like family. I feel like I'm home. So I absolutely feel like the setting here is, for me personally and professionally, is a great fit.
Okay. And as far as getting settled, I'm assuming that you're just about settled. I know you've been all over the state. You've been in Dallas a couple of times, and you're about to embrace on your first home game. What are you looking forward to, other than obviously the win? But what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to spending more time locally, right? Like I said, I haven't spent a lot of time in Houston. I want to get down there, get with alums and donors and corporate sponsors, because they're right down the street. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I know a lot about Dallas, but I don't know enough about Houston. So I'm looking forward to being local for the next couple weeks or the rest of the season, basically, except for when we travel. But getting down in the Houston area and the suburbs. I live in Cypress right now, so getting familiar with that area a little bit. But downtown, I really want to get my feet wet down there and get orientated to what's going on downtown Houston.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, when we talk about the surrounding areas, they say it's the best kept secret, and we hear that all the time. But the mentality, and when I say this, is not in a negative way. Please don't take it as a negative way.
Okay.
We are in a rural location, right?
Yep.
And because we're in a rural location, things are going to be done slightly different. And what works in Dallas, what works in Houston, what even works in Cypress, it might not necessarily be the total perfect fit for Prairie View. Do you have any experience that could possibly be adjusted to fit what would be needed at Prairie View?
Yeah. So most universities are in rural areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about relationships, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not about I'm gonna talk to a person in Houston, then differently than I'm gonna talk to somebody in Prairie View, right? Or in Waller County, right? It's about selling that vision and getting people to buy on to what vision you're trying to put out there and the direction you're going, and for them to come and join you and support you, and you support what they're trying to do, right? I don't think there's a secret sauce of, hey, this is if you live in the city, then you give them this package, and if you live in the country, you give them this package. Like, I think you got to be authentic about it and show what you're trying to accomplish and how they can be a part of that.
I know you're fresh in the seat, but if you had to do a mission statement or what your vision is today, what would that statement be?
I would absolutely say our mission statement is to provide the best Panther experience we can provide for our student athletes, meaning academically, athletically, personal development, community service, career development.
Okay. Okay, very good, very good. Now, I know you're a real big basketball guy, man. I know that. And we just had the SWAC Media Day conference this last couple of days with the men and women.
Yep.
But and scheduling is always a juggling act. And I don't know if you were quite on board. No, it had to be a little bit before your time. But we had a crossing in scheduling with homecoming and the SWAC volleyball championship.
It's we have the SWAC women's soccer championship during.
No, the women's soccer. Okay, yeah, I knew it was one of. How did that happen?
Well, so the games are during homecoming week, but there's not a game on homecoming. I don't know where everybody thought that was happening. So they would play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then there's a day off, and then championship Sunday.
Okay. Okay. Well, you say you hadn't experienced the homecoming just yet, and I hope they got the logistics part worked out.
Yeah, we've already met about that. How we're going to bring the buses in, the practice times, the game times. We are all over that.
Okay, very good. Well, I guess that's part of why you're in the big chair, is just to make sure, and why we ask the questions, because it's like, you know, get it straight from the source. Don't walk around assuming.
Yeah. I've had that question to me, because a lot of people thought, like, how are you going to play a soccer SWAC championship the same time homecoming? And it was like, it's not the same time as the homecoming game.
Mm-hmm.
There's no soccer competitions on that Saturday.
None on that Saturday.
None on that Saturday.
Okay, but there will be some activity, because they're gonna be from everywhere. You just wait and see, man. It's gonna be nice.
Oh,
it's gonna be extremely nice. So like I said, that was one that was itching for me. I said, I need to figure out how this is gonna be. I know you're a bad man. I know you're a bad man, and you come with confidence. I said, but that is going to take something very, very special to be able to navigate and get that through.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you get to your position now and you got some long-term friendships, man, how you gonna be able to cross these over to get some of these East Coast teams either south or we get out east?
Well, we've got to look at one of the unique things is that there's so many teams in the state of Texas, next door Louisiana. So, I would love to do some things up north or East Coast or have them come down, but also want to take into consideration our alums, our fans, you know what I'm saying, as far as traveling there and having that support. It's a lot easier to go somewhere in New Orleans or Dallas or San Antonio or Austin or, you know, even Florida than it is to go, say, up to Illinois somewhere or New York, you know what I'm saying, where our fans can have that experience of being able to get there as opposed to jumping on a plane.
Right. So is that going to be the regional approach and touch for majority of the programs, and especially the non-revenue sports?
Well, so for us, you know, we're going to do what makes sense. Now, if somebody's going to pay us enough to go play out at Seattle or whatever, you know, we're going to look at that. You know,
load them up.
You know, but you know, and if, you know, a promoter or something calls and comes up like, hey, we want you to play in Indianapolis in a classic, and it makes financial sense, obviously we're going to consider that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, just to go play in Chicago just to play, you know, Northern Illinois or something like that, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if financially that makes sense, because you have to fly that, you know what I'm saying? That's not a bus trip. And looking at it from a, you know, a number sense, like, what are we accomplishing if we go to the Chicago area?
Okay, it's a bus trip, but it'd be a miserable bus trip, right?
Yeah, so. No. I wouldn't, and I wouldn't put our student athletes in that situation where they're riding a bus all the way that far. I just made that drive, and for me it was a 2-day drive of 16 total hours. Yes,
sir. Yes, it's a beast. Now, me being from St. Louis, I've experienced that trek of many days.
Absolutely. I drove right through St. Louis on my way down.
Yes, sir. So I'm appreciating you making yourself available for us on this deal. When you look at the big picture and you're summarizing all 18 sports, however the budget is, and I know you just inherit this budget, but do you see anything? We know what's more money that's going to be needed, but anything that you would tweak one way or the other when you look at the budget right now?
So what I like to do is I like to look at you know, all of our resources, all of our sports, like where are they funded within the conference and where are they funded within, say, the region, right? And try to make sure that they're in the top half of the conference, definitely, and the top half of whatever region we're competing in, right? And so because I feel like if they're funded that way, then they have an opportunity to win championships. To me, that's part of the Panther experience. Like, I'm a former student athlete. I played football. I always felt like we were supported enough that when we stepped on the field, we had an opportunity to win. That's not, as a competitive student athlete, it never feels good to feel like when you step on the field, you don't have the resources to be able to compete. Like, you have no chance. That's not a great experience. That's not why you come to Prairie View A&M University. So I want to make sure that our student athletes, our coaches, our support staff have the resources to be successful to compete for championships. I want to be able to compete for the SWAC Commissioner's Cup, meaning that, you know, if you win that, you're one of the best programs in the SWAC, right? Those are the things that we're trying to win.
Yes, sir. Now, when you look at a training table, how big of a investment is needed to have a proper training table? And if you can't go that route, what are some alternatives?
So it's you got to look at a facility to be able to have a training table. 2, you got to look at, are you just trying to have a training table for football or your men's and women's basketball or all 18 sports, right? That makes a difference in your funding. But one of the alternatives is to make sure your fueling stations, because most of our student athletes have meal plans, right?
Right.
And what I've seen at other schools is that you try to have a training table, but what time do you have it, right? Because everybody has different schedules. Teams travel, teams practice, and so you may have a training table and have these great meals, but not a lot of the student athletes are partaking in it because it's geared towards a certain sport or a certain time, right? And unless you have a lot of money to have a a chef on there from 7 in the morning to 9 at night that can actually customize your food whenever you want, it's hard to have a training table. So the alternative is to have a fueling station where everybody's going to work out, to give them the proper nutrition after they work out, because that's the most important time to be able to eat. A lot of student athletes will work out. You stress your body out, put your body through a lot of rigorous exercise, but then you don't refuel, right? So now everything you've gained in the workout, you lose by not putting the right proper nutrition back into your body, because your body needs nutrition as soon as they finish. So we've invested money in our fueling station and partnered with Sodexo to be able and Pepsi to be able to put fueling station snacks and protein and things in there that help you recover after you work out.
So is it possible? Like I said, I'm asking you. You're the one sitting in the big chair, and you got the experience. Like the biology department or whatever, a nutritionist getting together, setting out meal plans with Sodexo that they can provide certain type of meals. That could be a makeshift training table. It might not be its own separate, isolated facility. Is that something that's looked into as well?
Yeah, so we have nutrition consultants. It's a little easier if you live off campus, you know what I'm saying? And so you don't eat every meal on campus. If you eat every meal on campus, then it's a little more limited. But we have some healthy options on campus that we're able to provide for not just the student athletes, but for everybody. Now, our student athletes have to take advantage of that and listen to our nutritionists and our strength and conditioning staff, but that is there for them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, and I know we're going all over, but I feel like I'm trying to make up for lost time, so I thank you for being patient with me. We talk about this NIL. How are we positioned as far as, I know it's not anything directly that athletics have their hands on, but you got to be aware of the rascals, and you got to be protecting the student athletes, even though they're young adults. They still need some type of protection. What is the position of the athletic department when in regards of NIL, as far as your limits will allow you?
So we encourage it. What we do is we do education. Our compliance people educate our student athletes about NIL, about what we can do and what we can't do, about making sure they notify us of things they're doing, so we can make sure we don't have a conflict of interest. For instance, we're an Adidas school. I can't have a young man or a young lady do an NIL deal for Nike and try to go on our competition field wearing Nike, right? Now they can do something for Nike, but they can't do it during competition or when they're representing us. You see what I'm saying? So It's just educating them about what they can and can't do, and the biggest thing is when you get an agreement, get somebody outside of yourself to read that agreement and review it.
Right.
Because when this NIL started, a lot of people was putting language in there that student athletes didn't understand, that would say, I have rights to your name, image, and likeness for a lifetime, right? And that's in the fine print stuff. But unless you're someone who does this for a living or is a contract lawyer, you're an 18 to 22-year-old. All you know is you're getting paid to do some social media post or show up somewhere to, to make appearance, and the money looks good, but they don't understand that if they get even more popular down the road, this company or this organization can still get money from them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just educating these young people on what NIL really means and what those opportunities look like and some of the pitfalls you could have out there.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you making yourself available. We're looking forward to the growth that is expected to come this way. Not only on the fields and the playing surfaces, but administratively when it comes in. Those old saying that to whom much is given, much is required. And I hope that everything works out to your advantage and your well-being. And I want to give you some closing thoughts and comments as we get ready to wrap this segment up, sir.
Okay. So for me, first of all, Mike, I appreciate your support and thank you for having me on. And hopefully we can continue checking in, and I can come back on some other time if you want me to, and I look forward to that. So, as we grow and as we, change and some things are happening, would love to give some updates so you and your fans and the PV people know what's going on, because sometimes there's things happening behind the scene, that people don't know. They obviously know our wins and loss records, but maybe something happened behind the scenes where we're doing some facility development, or we've got some different partnerships that people don't know. So I'd love to get back on and talk about those. But like I said, I have loved my 1 month that I spent at Prairie View, and I want to thank all the people for their well wishes, their supports, their prayers, and their continued support. Because I know it's not just the support of me; it's the support of Prairie View. You know what I'm saying? And so,
yes, sir.
that is great to see, because there's been a lot of people. I've been here a month, but there's people that have been supporting Prairie View for 50 years and more. So, I understand and I thank those people for that. And myself and President LeGrand, we're looking to try to take Prairie View, not just athletics, but the entire university, to the next level, and that's what we're doing. And it's not just going to be the two of us. It's going to take all of what I call, like I said earlier, Panther Nation. So everybody get on board and let's get this thing going.
It takes a village to raise a child, sir. It takes a village to raise a child. Well, look, as I stated from the day one when we met, we have an open door policy here. The light is going to always be on. We don't even lock the doors. So whenever you feel the need, we are always a phone call away. And again, I do thank you for making yourself available. He is Athletic Director Anton Goff for the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Don't forget, you can follow me on X at The Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And don't forget our 24-hour stream on the website at obnradio.com for all of our content such as this and other hidden gems. So until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.